you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. My name is Orett Connor and I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who's enjoying a well-deserved break. We hope that he is certainly enjoying himself and, like I said, well-deserved. So I'm in the studio with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have some interesting guests, interesting topics to talk about as well. So please stay tuned. Don't change that dial. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Live Communication. Let your voice be heard. Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. I'm Orett Connor filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. On this segment of Talk Today, we're going to be discussing a very, very important topic here in the Cayman Islands. We're going to be discussing some very important people in the Cayman Islands as well. Unfortunately, many people in the Cayman Islands do not know, and as a result of that, cannot appreciate the vast contributions that our seafarers have made to the Cayman Islands over the years that many of us don't even know about as well. So we will be discussing that topic today, and we will be talking about Sea Sunday, which will be celebrated here in the Cayman Islands as well as celebrated throughout the world as well. That conversation is going to take place with Miss Merle McGann, who is the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, also in the studio with us. No stranger, Mr. Denston Tibbetts, who's the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association. Folks, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Mr. President. Great to have you here as well. This isn't my first time with you discussing this, and I look forward to it every year. So it was certainly timely that I am filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks to be able to have both of you in the studio. And we're going to have Mr. Tibbetts kick things off, and let's talk about the history of Sea Sunday as well?
Well, Sea Sunday is something that started over 100 years ago. It was only brought to our attention 3 years ago when St. Vincent de Paul brought it to our attention.
Mm-hmm.
We had the first celebration at the Lobster Pot, and the Reverend Murray brought the Boys to Men, and the catboat people took them out.
Okay.
Last year we took it to Cayman Brack, and we had a wonderful time. This year it's going to be celebrated on Sunday. It's always celebrated on the second Sunday of July each year. So this year we're having it at the Seafarers Hall, and Merle has been her usual self. She has organized just about everything. But I want to make sure that seafarers come to this event because it's for us.
Yes, yes.
I have a list of people who I have started to call, but I'm hoping that everybody's listening now, and they'll be showing up at that. We're catering for about 150, and we'll have an opening prayer, a few speeches, and then a Reverend Van Kennel from
Randy Van Kennel, yeah. Yes,
Randy from the Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
He has agreed to be there, and he will do the final prayer, the closing prayer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have other dignitaries who are going to speak and all that. But the context of the whole Sea Sunday thing, I'll leave that to Merle to talk about, because it's her baby, really.
Mm-hmm.
But it involves us because it's always about the seafarers, and many churches set aside that day to pray and remember seafarers worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a prayer for the Sea Sunday, and it goes like this: Almighty God, in times of loneliness, show them that you are never far away. In times of peril, be their protection. In times of temptation, be their strength. And when they stumble and fall, give them penitence and pardon, peace and hope, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. It's my pleasure to turn it over to Merle now. She'll give us some more information.
Sure. So Ms. Merle, the Sea Sunday, like Mr. Tibbet said, has been celebrated for over 100 years. So our seamen going to sea, and I recall my short journey, 9 months only. I was on a ship called the Frisia. I think she was originally named the Universe Challenger, and the name changed to the Frisia, and we basically were running oil from the Persian Gulf to France, either into Marseille or into Le Havre, France. Wow. So I spent 9 months, but my most memorable day on board that vessel was when we were heading back to France, and in the Bay of Biscay, we encountered a storm on Christmas Day. Ouch. Christmas Day. And, of course, everyone was celebrating, and the friend of mine who's, unfortunately passed on, and myself, we were younger, and we didn't do as much celebration, so the chief mate and the captain called on us because the life boats, the strappings had sort of broken away, and they needed to reposition the ship so that we could go out there cross on the catwalk and try to firm up the lifeboat. So that's my memorable moment. But seamen have faced so many challenges, and unfortunately many have lost their lives on the sea as well. But all of those years, and for some reason, our seamen didn't really know about this Sea Sunday thing, because I'm sure that if it was, that it would be something that would be recognized and observed on board our vessels as well.
Well, we've always recognized the International Day of the Seafarer, which is June the 25th every year.
Yeah, yeah.
And we always, the Seafarers Association always has a family fair day or something the day before, if it falls on a Sunday. If it falls on a Saturday, 2 years ago it fell on a Saturday, and we had the family fair day. So, but this Sea Sunday is new to us, although it's been around for 100 years or more. I think it was 114 to be exact.
It was first celebrated in 1891, actually.
Okay, yeah. So
and it started in the United Kingdom, where again I think that when seafarers eventually did get home, like you say, they had so many incredible stories. I think that people came to realize the loneliness and the hardship that they experienced. So it actually started when the Apostolate of Prayer mailed devotional magazines and books from Wimbledon College in the UK, which that's a name we all know, right? And they sent them to 12 ships, and they began enrolling seafarers in association as a means of communication and hope in spirit while at sea. So that was in 1891. But then in 1893, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, again in the United Kingdom, started visiting seafarers when they anchored in various British ports, right? So they came together with the priests and the pastors and the chaplains and members of various associations, and they counseled and held church services for seafarers, who of course were many miles away from their homes, their countries, their family, and often for very, very long, extended periods. So with this fraternity, Sea Sunday was actually born in 1893. And yes, folks, you heard me correct, 1893. It is now a global celebration, which is always on the second Sunday of July each year. And as Denniston said, churches, all denominations, all religions, we set aside that Sunday to remember, recognize, and pray for our seafarers and their families, and give God thanks for their lives, their work, and contribution to international trade. Today, seafarers bring the world more than 93% of all household and business amenities. Without our seafarers, the world economy would collapse. So again, it's all fully supported by various global denominations, and the Apostleship of the Sea, which is the founding body, in collaboration with well-known organizations like the Mission to Seafarers, the Sailors Society, the Sea Cadets, and many other non-denominational groups, in collaboration with their own churches. They do things like hold parades, and they run awareness campaigns and celebrations about life at sea. So it's a matter of people of all faith and all nations coming together to celebrate. And I found out about it it goes back a ways longer. I'd heard of it, but then when I became president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul here in Cayman, I discovered that it was actually launched by St. Vincent de Paul. So, needless to say, I presented it to the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association and to Celebrate Cayman, and it's just taken off. And again, as Denniston says, it's just growing and growing and growing, and I tell you, the reward of doing it really has been absolutely fabulous. The arms of the Caymanian people are open so wide. It truly is very, very rewarding for myself and for the members of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul in Cayman.
And how long have we been celebrating it? here in Cayman now?
We're in our third year.
Third year?
But this is going to be our biggest year. So,
Okay.
as Denniston was saying, we'd like to see seafarers come out. We're going to now it's not a public event. It's for seafarers.
Okay.
But we would like to see Seafarers Hall certainly full. And we have a lot on the plate. Our sponsors have been absolutely wonderful. And we have surprises and prizes and what have you. But you have to be there and you have to stay for the program.
Okay, that's a good juncture for us to take our first commercial break, folks.
There you go. Thank you.
When we return, the conversation with Miss Merle McGann, who is the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and Mr. Denniston Tibbetts, the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, talking about Sea Sunday, celebrated on the second Sunday in July. It will be celebrated where? They will tell you more about that. When? Well, I just told you that. Second Sunday in July. But more to talk about that event. So please stay tuned. Talk today. We'll be back shortly.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas delivery, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. My name is Orett Connor, and we're discussing one of the most important topics in the Cayman Islands, the most important group of individuals in the Cayman Islands, the ones who made us what we are today, despite some of the deniers that are out there. There are deniers, and then there are those persons who are ignorant to the contributions that our seafarers have made to the Cayman Islands from day one. And I don't know when day one was, but whenever that was, they started, they built this country, and we continue to honor them while our seafaring industry may not be what it used to be in the past. We still certainly have some seafarers out there. But what we're discussing Sea Sunday. That discussion is taking place with Ms. Merle McGann, who is the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Mr. Denniston Tibbet. So we're talking about the event that is going to take place second Sunday of July. And let's talk more about that event. Ms. Merle, you mentioned the fact that it is not a public event. So there are people out there who are curious to know who can or who may be eligible to attend the event.
Well, it's quote-unquote public in that all churches are asked to set aside time. So, do whatever you want at your church, have your coffee mornings, etc. And I do know that there are some churches that are indeed celebrating. And the members of the Seafarers Association are the ones who would attend at the Seafarers Hall, right?
Well, actually, if I could interject here.
Absolutely.
Any member of the Seafarers Association is welcome, whether it be widows or seafarers themselves. And we have also incorporated in recent times adult children of seafarers, so they're all welcome to come. But it's not really a public thing that any and everybody can come.
Yes.
But we do have a lot of widows, and we have a lot of, I think it's something like 60, almost 60 adult children of seafarers, so they're all invited. But the main thing is that Sunday, which is Sunday coming, is Sea Sunday, and we're going to celebrate our heritage. And you mentioned something that I think should be talked about more regularly, in that the people from overseas who come here, they don't really know where we're coming from.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you wonder. I remember selling calendars one, I think it was the year before last, and it was early morning, right down by Linford Pearson Highway, and this guy in a truck, a construction guy, because I recognized him because I used to be in construction, and he was so ignorant of the fact that he said, "Get out of the way, you're blocking traffic," and I'm saying to myself, what a pity, huh? He doesn't know that what he came to find here was here long before him. So it's important that we educate people of the importance of what the seafarers did. And also, Ms. Susie Soto has taken over, and she's having the launch of a new book called The Schooners,
The history of
the schooners and turtlers of the Cayman Islands. And that'll be launched on the 15th, next week, Saturday, at the Turtle Center from 5 till. So it's very important. All these things tie in with the seafarers, because they were seafarers, there's no doubt, even though they call them turtlers. So it's important that the foreign entity that we have here, that they recognize and understand the importance of what they have come to find, that it wasn't always here. It was built from those days. So I think we should emphasize that more and talk more about it.
Oh yeah, and I every time I get an opportunity, I do, because I sometimes, I'm not a social media person, but there are certain chat groups that that I see things on, and you see people saying, "Oh, Caymanians this, Caymanians that." And you had to wait for us to come to build this country for you. Such ignorance. Sometimes, you realize that, that person, you really can't reason with them, because, it's pure, unadulterated ignorance that no matter what you tell them, if they had taken the time to understand
Yes.
the country that they're coming to, that they're seeking to be a part of, and trying to understand exactly where we came from,
It's very
then
important.
you wouldn't
Very,
get
very
those sort of
important.
comments that are being made by people.
Yeah. You know, recently Celebrate came on with Alfonso Wright as the head. In the various districts, they distributed different for each seafarer. You know, there was a plaque and a badge and all that. But I remember him saying, the one they had in Georgetown, if you see a seafarer on the road, show him some respect and say thank you very much.
Mhm. Exactly.
And that rang true to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Sea Sunday goes, Merle has a lot more to say.
Sure. We're going to hear from him. Go right ahead, Miss Merle.
Well, perhaps I could touch on the vision that we share locally. And that vision is intended to reignite the fire of the Caymanian family, the Christian faith into the lives of the people of the Cayman Islands, where we will share our dignity, bringing reconciliation and the gospel to today's dark world where everybody is suffering, you know. So we do grasp historically, obviously, our own poverty. We still have a lot of poverty here in Cayman that each day is demanding more and more of our attention because each day it's getting worse, you know. So we consider how our seafarers went to sea because of our poverty. We had nothing, you know, and it is said that poor is the one who has no right to choose. So our seafarers, they went out to sea in good faith. They went out into the deep, as is said. And, of course, that was the birth of our history, our culture, our everything. But in particular, notice I'm sticking my finger up because that is the birth of our finance and tourism industries. Our seafarers are the backbone of this country. Yeah? So, for the time being, I'll turn it back to both of you.
Well, actually, you know, my father was a sea captain, and he chose when I was maybe before, I think it was before I was born, to go to sea, because there was nothing else. I mean, 99.9% of Caymanians and Cayman Brackers, where I'm from, and so is Merle, they went to sea.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to sea, he had taken his family to Jamaica, and so did her family. And we all grew up in Jamaica, and we had the opportunity to go to high school. Because when I was in Cayman Brack, there was no high school, there was no doctor, no hospital. There was nothing. There was no electricity.
Right. No running water.
Well, we never got running water. I think they got it now, but it's so different. So what I'm trying to say is that I never had to go because I had been afforded a high school education, and I also went to the College of Arts, which is now the University of Technology, and I did my degree there. So I never really had to go like my dad. My dad had to go. But I chose to go because I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And I was on the ship with him for a while, too. So that is the point that I want to get across, too. People go... Right now we have a guy named Gentry Tatum, I think. He grew up in New York, but he is from Cayman Brack. And he sails as third mate or third engineer, something on a boat that plies between New Orleans and New York. And we also have one of the few mooring masters from the Brack again, Radley Anderson, I didn't know that his name was Anderson Radley Scott. He's not retired. He tried to retire, but they keep calling him back, and he goes all over the world. He's just a mooring master, and he's been doing that for a long time. So these people...
Now, a mooring master is different from a port captain?
Well, it's a little different because he has to moor... It all came about years ago when we had the thing in Kimmenbrack where the big ships would come.
The transfer.
Oil transfer.
Mm-hmm.
That is why they call him now a mooring master. He moors the smaller ships and the bigger ships so that they transfer to the smaller ships. Because these large ships, they draw like 110, 120 feet of water, of draft. Mm-hmm. And the smaller ships, of course, they probably want to draw like 30, 40 feet. Mm-hmm. So they can come and offload. Well, they might take 3 or 4 times, but they do it. So they're called mooring masters. But he was also a sea captain before he became a mooring master. Mm-hmm. But he's still active, And all of us, including myself, we learnt the real hardships that one can encounter when you go to sea. I mean, I remember going up Cape Hatteras, me and my partner on a bosun chair, soojing the stack of the ship. And I mean, she's rolling and you're bouncing, and it's amazing how we didn't get our feet our legs broken, But it was all good because we not only got to see places that we hadn't seen before, but we got to experience the fact that every month that allotment came home to Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kimmenbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
Listening to the general public.
The Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Because
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman waiting to take your calls right now.
What the public is saying. Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Orett Connor, and I'm filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who's enjoying a well-deserved vacation. We're talking about Sea Sunday, which will be celebrated here in the Cayman Islands on the second Sunday of July. The celebrations will take place at the Seafarers Hall. This Sunday coming, right? Yes, this will be the second Sunday. The conversation in the studio is taking place with Miss Merle McGann, who's the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Mr. Denston Tibbetts. I also want to remind you that if you have any questions or comments that you want to call in, you can call in on our toll-free number, provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call in on 949-8037 and 949-6990. You can WhatsApp us, 925-3261 as well. Or if you just want to watch and listen, follow us on YouTube. You do that simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and we are also on Facebook as well. So we know that this celebration will take place at the Seafarers Hall, but do you have any word for other, and you mentioned it earlier, other churches, other denominations, if they wanted to have a special sermon or special
I think Merle sent the news.
What encouragement are we giving to all of our religious institutions?
I have sent out emails to every church for which I could find an email.
Mm-hmm.
So every church is invited to participate. You do your own thing, whatever your pastor does with the congregation. I know that there's at least 2 churches who are really going all out. Unfortunately, I can't mention them. But yeah, it's a time for each one of us, really, each district, each church, everybody, to give God thanks for the life and contribution of our seafarers.
And I'm certain that there's probably at least one congregant in each congregation who can identify with that in terms of having a relative who was a seafarer.
Or whose daddy was a seafarer. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And we also had some lady seafarers, because my mom was one. Because they made a rule after the seamen became officers,
mm-hmm.
that they could take their wives with them for 6 months out of the year. So, and my father was a second, third mate or whatever, before he became captain. So he went through all the ranks, and my mother was there. Must have been 15 years. Or every at least once a year she went out for 6 months.
If I could interject, I remember last year in the BRAC we had the couple, the Waltons, who were telling us about when Mrs. Walton also traveled.
Yes,
the stories were absolutely fabulous.
Last year we had it in the BRAC,
Amazing.
and it was really well received. We had a dinner at the Alexander Hotel, and various people spoke. It was really, really, and we had a lot of prizes, which Marl alluded to early on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a celebrating, a very big celebration, we're hoping.
But I do want to see the seafaring ladies there on Sunday. Please, I want to see you there.
Mm-hmm. And just for my edification, Mr. Tibbetts, so the officers, because I always thought that basically it was the chief mate, the captain, and the chief engineer who were allowed to have their spouses.
No, any officer.
Any officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it was third engineer or even the stewards were allowed their wives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my mother took advantage of that because she spent a lot of time out there with my father. So,
and you had some wives who decided to relocate, and if you were basically going between 2 ports constantly, they would stay.
I had some cousins whose ship was going to Puerto Rico all the time. and their wives went over there. As a matter of fact, some of their children were even born there. Yeah. So
there are local female seafarers who actually worked on the ship as nurses or whatever. So they're among us.
Mm-hmm. And you know,
so I want to see those ladies on Sunday.
I had the opportunity of speaking to some of the guys that were on the ship with my father. And one particular guy, God rest his soul, he passed away, but he told me, he said, boy, you know why I stopped smoking? I said, I have no idea. He said, your mother slapped the cigarette out of my hand and told me if she saw me smoking again, she would tell my mother. So that cured him up, you know. Oh. And my mother was very outspoken, for those people who know her, and she was a disciplinarian wherever she went, so she kept everybody in line. But it was joyous because while she was away, we had to adhere to other people looking after us, and it was good all along. And I'm glad that by God's grace, you know, we all survived, and I'm just grateful that we are part of this Cayman Islands, because there's so many other places in the world who they're in turmoil, they're in war, and we're very grateful for that.
Okay. One of our listeners has sent a message to you, Mr. Tibbetts, and said that they will miss out on this one because they leave the island on that morning, Sunday morning, but you should have a good time. They say that both their dad and husband, they were both seafarers as well.
That's good.
Yes.
Sorry you missed it, but we'll have it next year again, God's willing.
Yep, and plan around it, right?
Yes.
Next year we go back to the sister islands because we rotate it. 1 year here, 1 year there. So we're doing it in Grand Cayman this year. Next year we go back to the sister islands. It's not decided yet. Maybe we'll go to Little Cayman.
And it's always the second Sunday.
Always
the second Sunday, except for last year for the BRAC. A seafarer passed away like the day before, so we put it off for a week.
Anthony Rich's dad passed away, and we had to postpone it for a week.
Yeah. I did want to say something because I know our time is coming close. Our sponsors have been absolutely, absolutely wonderful every year. But this year, one of our sponsors really filled my heart. As I approached him, obviously, for this, that, and the other. And he read up on everything, and he gave me a massive, massive hug, and he said to me, "You are doing the divine." So here we are, we're doing God's will.
Well, I'll also like to mention that
folks.
On the program for the day, all the sponsors will be mentioned, so they get a little plug out of it too.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One of our listeners wrote in and said that was very sweet when Mr. Tibbetts said that his allotment came home to Mama. And for many seafarers, that allotment was able to sustain, whole families. And
It sure was.
And no one...
I remember my first trip to sea. I was gone 13 months. And when I came home, I was a rich man. And my mother had saved all of my allotments. Oh, boy.
But if she hadn't saved it and she had spent it on the rest of the family, you would not have felt any way about that either, because you knew that you were helping to support your family as well.
With those allotments, when they came in, I know my mother, for example, because 5 of my 6 brothers have been seafarers. One in particular is still working, but the allotment was what really bought the food, and knowing that the allotment was coming in. My mother, for example, would give us a list, and we would go to Mr. Nat's shop with the list and get all the groceries without having to pay for it until the allotment came in.
Yeah.
Nobody in
that
the
was the way of life
Islands,
those days,
Nobody in the Cayman Islands was hungry, and nobody in the Cayman Islands was homeless. We were one family.
Yes.
Doing the divine.
And then we also look forward when the seafarer was coming home, they made sure that they did their shopping.
Yep.
They would know the sizes of all of the children, the shoe sizes, the shirt sizes, the pant sizes, the dress sizes.
National
you look forward to
Absolutely.
Yes. Folks,
it was a wonderful life.
Yeah. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour. We're going to do our 1 o'clock news. That is, Paul, right? 1 o'clock. When we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
To facilitate the lying in state for the late Captain Eldon Kirkconnell today, the police are setting up several road closures. Fort Street will be closed between Seafarers Way and Edward Street, and at Albert Panton Street until 2:30 p.m. In international news, the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down U.S. President Joe Biden's proposal to wipe out billions in student debt. The 6-3 ruling effectively cancels the plan, which would have forgiven about $10,000 per borrower and up to $20,000 in some cases. But the plan has been in limbo since some conservative states sued, arguing the president overstepped his authority. The Supreme Court agreed. The decision affects the loans of more than 40 million Americans. Emmanuel Macron has accused protesters of exploiting the death of a teenager shot by police at point-blank range. At a crisis meeting, France's president said more officers would be deployed to contain the violence, but stopped short of declaring a state of emergency. He urged parents to keep rioting children at home and social media platforms to remove certain content. France has been rocked by 3 nights of unrest after Nihal M., 17, was killed as he drove away from a traffic stop. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly, an experienced seaman with 30-plus years with national bulk carriers and doing ship-to-ship oil transfers off the Brac during the 1980s. He was also the founder of C&H Plumbing and an original band member of the famous Brac Beach Boys. During his time home from sea, he studied the art of catboat making and assisted his late grandfather-in-law, Mr. Arthur Dilbert, with the building of many catboats. Mr. Connolly loved serving in the community and was a volunteer during hurricane emergencies and assisted with the hurricane preparations, especially seeing to the safety of the elderly and the community. He would often share his fishing catch with friends and neighbors and bring Christmas gifts for the elderly. He was married to Elmitha Dilbert for 60 years and has 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Lift Something to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Orett Connor and I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. In the studio with me, Miss Merle McGann, who's the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Mr. Denston Tibbetts. We're talking about Sea Sunday that will be celebrated here in the Cayman Islands this coming Sunday. So we were talking about the one of our listeners said that they would be unable to make it here. Then they go on to say that they got plenty of dresses as she was the oldest child, so she benefited from many of the dresses. And Mr. Denston, you spoke about National Bella's Hest as well. And then one of our listeners has written and said, OC, Mr. Tibbetts and Miss Merle, as you are mentioning another book, don't forget Caymanian Epics, my book that celebrates Caymanian seafarers on every page and was published less than 2 years ago, and that is coming from Dr. Curtis Barnett as well.
Yeah, well, we sell it at the Seafarers Hall. We sell that book. But certainly we can mention it.
Yes.
And there's also one by Roy Borden.
Right.
What's the name of that one again? But they're very popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
Find it.
And they're all about seafarers.
Okay.
There is just so much that, it would be wonderful. It would be a miracle if we could just manage to bring it all in one place together.
Well,
we need to have that Seafarers Museum that was supposed to be started by now.
What you're saying is so timely, and someone would say, the person would probably say, she must be reading the WhatsApp message that I'm sending out.
No,
because the person says this is a more of a political question, but they want to ask it whether or not the government has done. And not just this government, but governments of the past have done enough for our seafarers, other than ensuring that the monthly stipends that they get that continues. But have we done sufficient to permanently recognize our seafarers? And they specifically refer to the plans, yes, that Seafarers Way, the street has been renamed to that as well. But what about the edifice that was promised? Where are we with that?
Well, actually, with the new government, it was on the culture, and that is Minister Bernie Bush. But on Friday coming, my council will be meeting with two of the ministers, and we hope to be updated with all of this stuff then. But right now, they're telling us, well, it depends on the budget and whatnot, so we have to. But I'd like to mention something about the stipend and if you're a member of the seafarers, government has been good to the seafarers. If you're a member,
it was more of a moral obligation than a legal one. In terms of what they're doing.
Well, that's another story again, because it's never a legal thing. So any prime minister who comes in there and feel like government didn't, the seafarers didn't do nothing, so it has not been etched in
black and white. Yeah,
in black and white. But members who paid dues. A lot of people come into the Seafarers Hall and say, I want to pay my insurance. And I have to explain to them, you're not paying insurance because insurance is given to you by government because you're a member of the Seafarers. You know, people, oh, I didn't know that. I said, well, you know it now because I just told you. But it's, you know, government gives a stipend. And I read recently where the leader of the opposition was and that's very commendable because we say the same thing. The only difference sometimes is that government seems to treat seafarers on the same level as, not that we want special treatment, but because of the different things that government helps with, we think, and maybe, well, I shouldn't say, maybe it's wrong, but because we believe that is so, we should be paramount in their thoughts, and if they do adhere to what was suggested by the leader of the opposition, then the people who are indigent should not be on the same level. That is myself and my council's thoughts. In other words, if they raise the stipend to the $1,500 as was suggested, then it shouldn't be across the board because it should only be applicable to the seafarers. That's our take on the whole thing.
Okay.
Because we don't see, I mean, if you're indigent, fine, government helps you, but we should not be on that same level. So.
Okay. We do have a caller. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. O.C., Mr. Denniston, and to Miss Merle.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir, and to Miss Merle there, I would want to thank you for being on there today. I am Raymond Scott, which is the shipping traffic advisor for the Cayman Islands, and I started out at age 15, calling up ships passing the islands, gathering information and reporting it back to Lloyd's of London. So I have had a very historic, interesting life and learning so much about the world and its trade. And by the way, I work with dozens of people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines working on universe tank ships, national bulk carrier ships, doing ship-to-ship transfer that Mr. Tibbetts had mentioned a while ago. And the man that he mentioned about Captain Radley Scott, that is my brother, which became a master mariner at age 19. I think he may be the youngest, one of the youngest, or the youngest ever in the Cayman Islands. And Captain Ed Lee Martin, he was at 21, I think, when he became captain as well. So I have a wealth of knowledge of international shipping and trading and what each country imports and exports and who has the most seafarers, and also keeping up with all the traffic around the Caribbean on which countries and islands bring in and export and import. And also in my capacity as what I used to do has become a search and rescue coordinator for the Cayman Islands, helping people from all over the world that gets in trouble at sea, as far as Honduras and as far east as some of the Caribbean islands. So I have been involved in over 175 rescue operations and roughly 800 people on sea, on boats, from sinking ships on fire to sinking sailboats, mega yachts, all of that kind of thing. Yes, and I will say I had very excellent cooperation working with the people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And in fact, I was on a ship those times, a Libyan tanker that had three seamen from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And all.
Raymond, can I interject here a minute?
Yes.
You mentioned St. Vincent 2 or 3 times. The society that Merle is president of is not associated with that St. Vincent. This is an organization from one of the churches here, and it's called St. Vincent, Society of St. Vincent
de Paul. It's a
It originated in Europe, in England.
France.
In France, I think, yeah. So
okay,
it's...
Well,
but I was on a ship with St. Vincent people too, and they're good people.
However, if I can interject, indeed, St. Vincent and the Grenadines are part of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, the global body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, and I would like to mention that on Friday afternoon, I had the flags, 2 flags flown at half-mast on a passing ship for the late Captain Eldon Kirkconnell. That was 1:45 north of Cayman Brac. The Maltese flag was lowered at half-mast, and then our flag was flown at half-mast in honor of Captain Eldon Kirkconnell and Mr. Jones Wells, 2 of those seamen. I had the ship's flag lowered half-mast, and the captain passed his regrets of knowing these great seamen has passed away.
Any plans for Sea Sunday then?
Yes, all plans for that to get ships to come in. I've been tracking that from last night, seeing who is entering the Caribbean and will be down here for next Sunday, right?
Okay.
Raymond, if I could interject, yesterday I had the opportunity to be at Mr. Jones Wells's funeral, and they had a recording of the ship that you actually that you're just talking about. Because somebody asked me afterwards, was that a real thing? I said yes, it was. So. What did Jamaican say? Your name gone abroad?
That's
yes,
good.
Sir. Yes, and that was a different ship. That one I directed, and it passed a half a mile off the Queens Highway. And Mr. Wells' daughter and her husband and son was right there at McCurley Green's place.
She told me. She told me. And
yes.
she said it was so near that she could read everything on the deck of the ship, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I told him it's extremely deep water off the coast, and your size ship with a 17-foot draft, you can come as near as a quarter.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. Yeah, I spoke to June Lee, and she told me about it.
Yes,
Excellent.
and it was an American captain that I contacted when they were 35 miles southeast of Cayman Brac, and I made the request, and he did exactly what...
There's no doubt that you do a fantastic job.
Yes,
absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank
so we
you
look
so
forward
much.
to See Sunday and
Yes,
hearing what happens then. Caller, thank you very much for that. We have about 15 minutes left, and we want to send out those reminders about See Sunday, what's taking place here in the Cayman Islands as well. So I'm going to throw the mic back over to Miss Merrill.
Oh. You know, to Mr. Scott, as he spoke about the ships and recognizing and so on, I got the shivers because there is a ship which is called Stella Maris, and for years now, in fact, God bless her, Margaret White, she told me about it, and the ship is called Stella Maris, and of course we have the Catholic Church in Cayman Brac called Stella Maris, and this sea captain, when he passes the Brac, even apparently now, he sounds a horn to salute the Brac seafarers and Stella Maris. In fact, I've had quite a few local seafarers who have told me that they, in the past, were members of the Seafarers Association known as Stella Maris. So it's all good, it's all beautiful. And if you heard before, we are doing the divine. We're doing actually, what God wants.
Not to cut you more. Oh, see, last year in the Brac, I said that I told the audience that we were trying to amalgamate the seafarers in Cayman Brac, the association there with the association here. We have got into a little jam with that because when that was formed, which Cayman Brac always do things first, they were formed 2 years before this association in Grand Cayman was formed. And they called themselves the Veterans and Seamen's Association. And down here, it's only the Seafarers Association. The veterans are completely different. So we have a little hitch there, trying to overcome it, but eventually, hopefully, it'll all be one. But right now, it's being worked on.
Okay, and
the vets came off the ships, didn't they? So they're all seafarers.
Most of the vets went to war and all that.
Yeah.
So the reference is more to war
yeah.
veterans. So one of our listeners has shared with us Mr. Roy L. Borden's book, My Life in a Conch.
Yeah, right.
That's the title of it.
It slipped me. My Life in a Conch Shell. Because Roy lived in New York for a long time, but he's a Braca too.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like the Bracas are very prominent.
Yeah. So let's talk more about Sea Sunday. Transportation-wise, we know that there are times when you have functions and you may provide transport for those seafarers who may have a challenging time getting there. Anything you want to say about transport, or everyone has to find their way there?
Well, most of the times we provide the bus services when a lot of seafarers my age and older don't like to drive in the night. Mm-hmm. So we provide that. But this is 1:30 in the day, so if someone wants to be picked up, please let me know. 916-3334.
Repeat it one more time.
916-3334.
Okay.
That's my cell number, and we can arrange it. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the guy from East End who drives the bus for us, and he's trying to arrange it.
Okay, excellent.
I haven't spoken to the guy in West Bay, but that can be arranged also. Just give me a buzz, let me know.
And the doors open at 1 o'clock, so not much point in you getting to Seafarers Hall before 1, because you're going to find the doors are closed.
Okay.
We are going to church at 11:30. Mass will finish at 12:30, and we are on our way from St. Ignatius to the Seafarers Hall.
Okay, and you say lots of
1
prizes and surprises. Do you want to mention any sponsors that you want to talk about, or they would prefer to remain anonymous?
Well, as Denniston said, they are included in the program. To be honest with you, they have all been so wonderful. I have lots of beautiful prizes,
well,
and
she's not going to say this, but
it's difficult for me to
and you don't want to miss anyone out, right?
But they're all in the program, and I just need to let it flow like that.
One of the things that we did last year in the BRAC. We gave a prize for the youngest seafarer, one for the oldest one.
That was the highlight of
the highlight of the whole thing.
It was beautiful.
And the oldest one is my vice president. And the youngest one was a youngster, was a foster, I think, from the BRAC.
So the thing was, he came from Grand Cayman over to the BRAC, and then he won that as the eldest. So he had to travel back to Grand Cayman with the prize. It was quite hilarious. It was absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
We plan on having a fantastic day.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will.
Mr. Tibbetts, we have another question here from one of our listeners, and they wanted to know, is there any interest in the Cayman Islands in terms of reviving the seafaring industry, in terms of men going or women going to sea as well? And they take note of the fact that Jamaica now has, a very thriving seafaring culture. They do have is it a college or I forget what it is called there. I'll try to look it up in terms of where training takes place for seamen, as well. And of course, we see the lure of the cruise ships where they're constantly looking. Is there any interest in the Cayman Islands?
Well, we have tried, but unfortunately, the youngsters don't seem, they want to work in a bank but we're still trying.
Well,
but
most of the banks are becoming cashless, so,
so
even though some of the crooks don't know that, the robbers.
But we haven't forgotten it. As a matter of fact, that's part of our motto, that we help youngsters with seafaring thoughts. So we're looking at that fact, but everything costs money, and we have to wait and see what the government is going to help us with.
If I could say, internationally, the people who have the most seafarers are, in fact, the Filipino people.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right? As for St. Vincent de Paul, the country that has the most membership is India. And here we have, of course, a large Filipino and Indian population. They're transit people, I agree. But just last night I was really surprised because I got a number of messages referring to the fact that the United States has announced that in the next 4 years they are reviving their seafaring profession.
The only difference.
And they expect within the next 4 years to hire 74,000 people. So there is an opportunity for Caymanians who wish or are considering the seafaring. I know of a few youngsters, but the opportunity to get back into the seafaring industry is there. So we need to grasp it.
The only thing that I will say is that I think it was last year, the MACI, the Maritime Association,
yes. Mm-hmm.
One of the surveyors that they have gave me a list of the wanted ads for seamen and the qualifications. You had to be a university graduate and all kind of, not to say that, if you go to the OS or the cook or something, I'm sure. But the important part for me, for seafarers, is to just be on the sea. I mean, like Merle said, 93% of all industry is that we operate here. Everything comes by ship.
It's imported, exactly.
Yeah. And people have to understand that.
And we saw what happened during COVID when one of those ships were backed up in the ports in California coming from China. Yeah. Oh, by the way, also, the Jamaica has a Caribbean Maritime University. They have a...
Yeah, they just started a
Maritime University, yes.
Because the only other one was in Italy. But we haven't forgotten. It's part of our heritage, and we intend to continue it.
Excellent. We have about 4 minutes left, so I want to give you an opportunity for some wrap-up and reminders, as well. And I believe that you're going to be on For the Record sometime on Friday morning as well.
Yes, it'll be a pleasure to come again.
Just to remind everyone, Well, thank you so much for having us on this long, anyhow. Just like to remind, Merle has all of the dates and all that, but I'd just like to remind people of the launching of the book, Cayman Turtlers and Seafarers, and Schooners.
That's the Catboat Club and the
Catboat Club.
Maritime Heritage Foundation.
Right, and that is next week, Saturday, at the Turtle Center at 5 o'clock. And it's going to be a program, and you can get the book to buy at that time. For seafarers, it's $35, and for regular people, it's $45. So that should be good. But once again, I thank Radio Cayman and yourself for giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about our heritage and about what we're all about.
Certainly. Ms. Merle?
Thank you very much.
Well, the only thing that's really come into my mind in closing is, folks, our Lord, like last year we had a pastor preach from a catboat in the Brack. It was absolutely fabulous. We'll have pictures that you can see as you come in on Sunday. But our Lord, in his mission of evangelization, he preached very often from a catboat.
Yes.
So we have to remember our number one seafarer, our number one seafarer is Jesus himself. And so he calls us on Sunday to celebrate that life. Okay?
Okay.
So thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It has been my pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will have representatives from the Health Services Authority in the studio with us. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Something very important that you need to know about as well.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Health behaviours and lifestyle choices such as diet and smoking can be risk factors for non-communicable diseases. The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey will allow the Ministry of Health and Wellness to gather important data on the health of the nation, including these risk factors. This information will inform our plans for the health needs of Cayman's residents, allowing us to better serve our population. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Tuesdays were made for tacos, so let's celebrate Taco Tuesdays at Simboco. $4 tacos, margaritas for $5, and $4 beers. Enjoy delicious cilantro lime chicken, Escovitch-style fish, or braised beef tacos. Add any side for an additional $4. Choose from Mexican rice, chili fries, cassava fries, or plantain. Simboco, a Caribbean cafe with 2 locations: Marquee Plaza, 7 Mile Beach, and Country Corner Plaza, Hearst Road, Savannah. For both locations, call 947-2782.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
Where is our number again? Aha! Here it is. 945-2290.
Hello, welcome to Chicken Country Corner, Savannah. How may I help you?
Oh, hi. A friend of mine told me that you have a special on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on your award-winning Caribbean wood roasted chicken. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., you can buy a breast and wing dinner and get another one for half price.
Hey, that's an awesome deal. I'm coming right over to Chicken.
Buy a breast and wing dinner and get one half off is on. Only at the Chicken Savannah location. Call 945-2290. That's 945-2290.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt@valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. A Cayman twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Listening to the general public.
The Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Because
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman.
waiting to take your calls right now.
Talk today.
What the public would think.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Orett Connor and I'm filling in for Sterling Duane Banks, who we hope and we trust is enjoying well-deserved vacation. While we await our other guests in the studio, I will remind you that the phone lines are open in the event that you may want to call in to talk about the previous subject that we spoke, that we discussed with Mr. Tibbetts and Miss Merle McGann. If you don't know about Sea Sunday, you may want to just reminisce about your seafaring days, your family members who may have been seafarers, or you may have been a seafarer yourself, as well. One of the controversial, and I say that with controversial in quotation, issues that was raised, whether or not the governments, and I say that in plural, governments of the Cayman Islands, whether they have done enough for our seafarers. Yes, that monthly stipend, and you heard and you may know that that is more of a moral obligation that the Cayman Islands government has taken on as opposed to one that is legally mandated. There were at least two unions in the past in the Cayman Islands. There are rumors about when National Bulk was sold or whatever, that there was a certain amount of money, something like $2 million that may have been given to the government of the Cayman Islands. Not sure how truthful that is, not able to verify that, as well. But the government of the Cayman Islands has stepped up and provided stipend to our seafarers. We know the cost of living in the Cayman Islands continues to increase. The basic things, groceries, as well as electricity bills, high for everyone. But if you're on a fixed income, then that makes it even more challenging, as well. You may want to talk a little bit about that. While I have the mic, I had the opportunity, and I won't call his name, but to visit a gentleman, one of our prominent Caymanians, last week Saturday, and he was telling us the story about one of the ships that he went on, and the captain basically thought that he was going to be a troublemaker on board the vessel. But the story that he was telling us about, you heard us here talk about allotments. And in my day, this would have been in 1968, 69, an ordinary seaman was making, I think it was $100 US, either 100 or 110 US dollars per month salary. But what you made in overtime, that is painting, they would always find work for you to do. You paint, or you sewage, or if you were on an oil tanker, you demucked the oil tanks, because when you're carrying crude oil, it is oil that's basically pumped out of the ground, so it will have residue in there, sand and stuff, and you would go down in those tanks. They would have these big, huge blowers at the mouth of the tank, and that would be clearing the air from out of the tanks, gas from out of the tanks, clearing those, and you would be down in there with your boots on and your scoops, and you demucking, taking all of the muck from the bottom of the vessel in the tanks, and that would be pulled up aboard. Unfortunately, it would be thrown overboard as well. So that would, this day and age, that would be considered contaminating, our oceans as well, contributing to pollution in our oceans. But my point there is that you made probably more money from your overtime than you made from your regular salary. $110 per month for an ordinary seaman. And you didn't necessarily have to have any particular skills. You needed to know how to throw a rope. If you knew how to paint, that would help you along as well. And of course, we spoke about the demucking of the tanks. So this gentleman was saying, while you're out to sea, there's something called a drawdown, where you're allowed to get a drawdown on your salary. And there were times when everyone, would go. You'd go up to, I think the chief mate or the purser would normally handle the disbursement of money. Anyway, he said he didn't want a drawdown. He wanted his whole salary, because at first they wanted to know where do you want your salary to go, and he said, I don't want it to go anywhere. I want my whole salary. So he didn't take a drawdown. He basically took his whole salary. And of course, he didn't last too long on that vessel because he took the unusual approach, which was to collect all of his salary rather than having his allotment go sent home. I may not have told that story the best. I only heard it a little bit over a week ago, but I'll try to refine it and pass it on to you again at some occasion. We have 2 callers on hold, so let's go to the phone line. Let's grab the first caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to Talk Today.
Hello, Mr. O.C. again. How you hearing me?
Hearing you loud and clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, I would like to support the motion about reestablishing the Cayman Island seafarers, of getting people to go back to work, to sea.
Mm-hmm.
Such a demand for seamen today. And Cayman Islands have lots of ships registered in Georgetown. Some ships are under construction now, and Cayman Island flag going to be put on them, and it's some very high pay. There is Cayman Island flag super tankers now that the captain from Ukraine and various other places are earning $13,000 per month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the tankers are registered in Georgetown, flying the Cayman Island flag. And I see there is a vacancy for first assistant engineer on an American tanker, and they're offering $50.13 per hour, which equates to $404
per day
for the day, for 8-hour day. That is very good pay. That's quite a high pay. And about the 2 Caymanian seamen that are still working on tugboats around New York, East Coast of the United States. So that's 2 there, and we need to get more of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And keep and bring back our heritage. I'm all for that. And there are plenty ships registered in Grand Cayman, and they mostly have Indians, Ukrainians, and Filipinos that are working on those Cayman Island registered ships. And
Now, for ships that are registered U.S. flag carriers, aren't there certain qualifications that you have to have in terms of U.S. Coast Guard certification?
Yes, correct. And following the Jones Act system, right, that an American ship must employ American seamen and must fly the American waters and things like that, yes. But foreign flag ships, there are plenty opportunities as well. There's a shortage of seafarers now worldwide. There are so many ships. As we talk, there's a ship being launched right now. I mean, things are booming internationally like never before in history. Due to the Chinese trade in motor cars, the manufacture of the Chinese motor cars and SUVs and trucks, the world has a demand now for 135 monster car carriers under construction and on order to be built to keep up with the world's car trade. And those ships all going to be needing seafarers, and the qualified seafarers, lots of them were Ukrainians, and they're gone back home to fight in the war. So that's what has put a big impact on the seafaring community for a more shortage of seafarers worldwide. So this is the time now, if someone is interested to take up an opportunity to take up navigation, study navigation.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, Kingston Maritime School in Jamaica, yes, they have produced many seafarers. In fact, I have been communicating with Jamaican second mates and third mates while passing here, and they're employed to a Belgian company on propane tankers. In fact, Jamaicans passed here yesterday, 5 Jamaicans on 1 tanker coming from the States going to Trinidad. So it's big demand out there for seafarers, and we could get some. I have had some people talking to me from Grand Cayman mainly that they would like to take up the seafaring heritage job, interested in traveling throughout the world. You get to see the world while you're on
for free. Yes. Caller, I'm going to ask you to leave us there, though. We have to go to a commercial break, and we still have another caller on hold as well. But again, thanks for your contribution as well. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly. No, okay, sorry. Do we have the next caller on there, Paul? Let's grab the next caller. Sorry, Paul was signaling to me that there was no commercial break. A little different from the morning show. Caller, good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Orett Connor.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Okay, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
They were concerned the seafarers on their stipend. They're now being paid $9.50 a month. And Mr. Mike Taggart, the leader of the opposition, recommended $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think seafarers should be paid at least $2,700 a month.
At least how much? Sorry?
$2,700 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, they should be able to help their grandchildren or children if they need a little help. They should be able to save a little money to go on vacation with their children or their grandchildren. $950 would be a lot of money back then, but not today. And if the government is even able to go higher than $2,700 a month, would be very good.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you whether or not it should be on a needs basis in terms of that amount of money, or should it go to everyone? Because we know that initially when government started to give out this stipend, there were persons who really didn't need it, who owned businesses and everything, and whether or not, even if they decided that they would take that money and give it to charity, the system was abused at one point in time. So should a needs test be applied, for those to get those amounts?
Yes, I would say so, because some people might, as you said, really don't need the stipend, as other people might. And if that is the case, that makes it even better.
Mm-hmm.
That means those who need it, then the government is able to pay them even more than a month, even up to $700 a month. If that is the case, that some people don't need it.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before you go, I'm not sure if you've been to sea, but would you have had an interest in being a seafarer?
No, not at this time, Mr. Orett Connor. I was born in 1969.
Okay. And that's when things started to sort of like taper off, where more employment in the Cayman Islands, and you saw men then deciding rather than going to sea, they were getting more home-based employment around about that time.
Yes, my earthly father, Philip Austin Orett, went to sea at 14 years of age. So our young men today, they don't graduate until they're 16, 17. So they're still able to have an even better opportunity of going to sea, but they have to be serious. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. And like we said before, it is more of a moral obligation than a legal one, which brings the question, shouldn't we have it legislated in terms of what and who would be entitled? There must be some legislation in place, because when the requirements were tightened up somewhat, I think that was the late Edna Moyle was the minister, fell under her portfolio at that point in time. So there may be some legislation in place, if you're aware of any legislation that is in place. But what the government is paying out now is coming solely from government's revenue. Which brings me to the point. We hear the talk about pensions. When that amount was taken from the seaman's salary every month, it was supposed to be placed into a fund. Whether or not there was any legislation in place determining how that fund would be administered, we know now that it has been depleted. Where that money went, there are still questions being asked about that. But it brings us to the point in time where we are today in relation to pensions, because and pensions contributions, because there are still people here in the Cayman Islands who do not believe or do not understand the purpose and the importance of having a pension, having something put aside for retirement. Pensions are not designed to fully support you in your retirement, but to help you during your retirement. And hopefully, if you're fortunate enough, you would have other savings as well to help to carry you through your retirement years. But there are those out there who believe that, and there was a time when there were hundreds, I would probably venture to say thousands of Caymanians who were at sea and were contributing to the funds, what was deducted from their salary every month and went to those unions. How many benefited from it? Very few, if any. And as a result of that, the Cayman Islands government then ended up having to step in and to supplement that. But had those funds at that time been properly invested, who knows what our seafarers would have been the beneficiaries of today if those funds had been properly invested, properly maintained as well. Of course, many of those who were responsible have moved on, have passed on as well. And while there may be criticisms, of the government and what the government has done and is doing, we are indeed fortunate that governments in the past and this current government has at least ensured that there are some funds available to our retired seamen. Now, we keep hearing stories about abuse, questions whether or not those seamen who were married when they were active seamen have since divorced, and whether or not the spouse at the time when they were seamen, they should be the beneficiaries of that stipend, as opposed to some young, quote-unquote, foreign spouse who may be the current spouse. All of those debates are taking place in the Cayman Islands as we speak. Those debates are taking place. People do have concerns about it. Whether or not those concerns will be addressed. But our seamen have contributed and sacrificed so much that we should not at this point in time deprive them of at least living a dignified life here in the Cayman Islands. And no one should deprive them. No one should attempt to take that away from our seafarers who sacrificed so much. Some who gave the ultimate sacrifice in terms of losing their lives on board ocean-going vessels. And there are many families, some families in the Cayman Islands, who have to endure that memory for the remainder of their lives in terms of the sacrifices. So, see Sunday when it comes, this coming Sunday, second Sunday in July. If you don't go to the celebration, if you do attend church, hopefully your pastor will have a sermon on seafaring, about the sea and the storms. If you don't attend a church, then take a quiet moment and remember those in your families who were seafarers, or even someone you may know personally who was a seafarer as well. They deserve that. They deserve more. They deserve edifices to be built to remember them in the Cayman Islands. And while the government has said, well, we need to see where the budget is, I don't think that there's any money that will be better spent than money spent to honor our seafarers. Folks, top of the hour, 2 o'clock. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
The Constitutional Commission has released its annual update, which coincides with Constitutional Day, a public holiday being observed this Monday, July 3rd. The update highlights major constitutional events in the year since the last Constitution Day in 2022, including the appointment of Her Excellency the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, and Chief Justice, Honorable Margaret Ramsey Hale. In international news, the French government has authorized the use of armored vehicles to try to prevent further rioting over the police killing of a teenager at a traffic stop. Bus and tram services will be shut overnight. President Macron said that some people were exploiting the 17-year-old's death to create disorder. There has been an unusual rise in the number of children and teenagers around the world diagnosed with type 1 diabetes since COVID. That according to researchers. A new study in JAMA Network Open Journal has collated available data from different countries, including the UK, on more than 38,000 young people diagnosed during the pandemic. The authors described the increase in cases of diabetes as substantial. More work is needed to understand why the rise is happening, they say. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas delivery, restoration, and social services.
Listening to the general public.
The Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Because
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman. Engaging to take your calls right now.
What the public is saying.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I want to remind you that our phone lines are open. There's been a sort of little hiccup, as far as representatives from the Health Services Authority being on the show. So I will continue to talk about or seafarers or anything else that you may want to talk about. Our phone lines are open. Our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. WhatsApp us 925-3261, or you can call us on that number as well. We have about 26 minutes left. One more commercial break. Please don't wait until it is 2:25 before you call in. If you want to call in before then, this is a good opportunity for you to take advantage of that to call in. Meanwhile, let's look at some talking about our seafarers. And I mentioned to you earlier, if you are unable to attend the function at the Seafarers Hall, and remember that is restricted to seafarers and members of the Seafarers Association. That would include the children of seafarers who are members as well. But your particular religious institution may choose to say something about seafarers on Sunday as well. You heard Miss Merle McGann speak to the fact that she did send out reminders to the various religious institutions as well. If you're at home by yourself or with your family members and you don't go anywhere, you may want to Google some of the seafarers' prayers, and you could share those quietly or with the rest of your family members. One of those seafarers' prayers go, a prayer for seafarers. Watch over all who go down to the sea in ships, on business, for leisure, or to rescue those in peril or difficulty. Keep them from danger, befriend them in loneliness, and bring them safely home to those they love through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Here is another one. Lord, and this is the prayer of the faithful for seafarers. Lord, rule over waves and seas. Keep your blessed hand over all seafarers. Give them the strength to lead a Christian life abroad. Give them the strength to lead a Christian life aboard their ships. Do not let them disappoint anyone who may expect their help aboard. Keep their families at home in your care. And you, I'm sure, are quite capable of composing prayers of your own as well, and you can say a prayer either silently or out loud to those seafarers out there present, as well as those who have gone on before us as well. We do have a caller on hold. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. I knew I couldn't go through the whole show without making that mistake. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Well, good afternoon, OC, because I was also just watching out to ensure that I don't say good morning to you. And maybe because you're doing. Well, it's good to have a chance again to share some things with you. Well, first of all, I listened to some of your interview with Mr. Tibbetts and the lady there. It's always nice to hear about the seafaring. I come from a landlocked country, so talking about seafaring things, I always have found it very fascinating. I remember one time being told some story about by Mr. I think it was Linford Pearson, who I think also went to sea.
Yes.
Some mishaps he had there, and then he had to decide to become an accountant. And
yeah, I think he was one of the an oil. I think it was an oil tanker that exploded.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, it's exploded, and so it had to be rescued and so forth. Right? You don't want to remember the seafarers with that, but that sort of like came to mind. I just thought, also, since you've got a little bit of free time as well, to say something about the this decision which was made by the ombudsman regarding the judiciary, where she said. First of all, she chastised the judiciary, saying, look, when an FOI request is made, and you know that it might even be appealed, you must keep it rather than destroy it. I think that we must really give a shout out to Sharon Ralston. I think she's been doing a very good job in that area. Although I'm the one who made that application, so I was happy with that aspect of the decision. There's one or two little issues I thought maybe she might have pressed them a little more, but I won't get into that because that's not important. I think what I'd like to mention is I think that decision will be very significant in terms of helping people who have been having some problems with the judiciary. I know people who they've just gone to court on a particular day. The judge says something, and then later on they want to appeal the decision, or they want to put something in an affidavit, and then they are told by the judiciary, oh, no, this was destroyed. It's very important. I think what she has said is that she has said that the judicial administration should seek assistance from the National Archives to ensure they are complying with the legal requirements. And exactly.
Now, question for you, Billy. How are those things recorded? Are they recorded by script, or are they electronically recorded?
Well, very good question, Ossie, because this is what I've been trying to work with my group towards. They are sometimes recorded by the judge's notes, okay? But sometimes they are also recorded by video, or by video more after COVID. But before that, sometimes you would have an audio. But that's not a legal requirement, and it's not done all the time. I know that when I've gone to court, sometimes I've specifically asked it should be recorded and that I should have a tape of it, okay? But what the ombudsman is saying, well, look, even if there is no legal obligation to record by audio and video, which they have, for example, in Ontario, if you do record it, she is saying then you must keep it, okay? Then you must keep it because it is now a government record. That's why she has said, for example, that the judicial administration should develop and implement internal procedures for instigating a legal hold in respect of records requested under FOI and in other appropriate circumstances. So that those other appropriate circumstances would be widely construed to say, hey, look, if you have taken a record of it, you must keep it, so that if people want it, it can be produced. I think that will be very, very important, considering some of the things that I have gone through, some other people, including lawyers, have gone through. I know I was speaking to one lawyer one time, which I remain nameless, who had a problem getting a record in order for him to appeal the case. But ultimately, he went through a long, long fight to get the record, eventually appealed and won the appeal. But all that can be avoided with this decision now she has taken. And the other thing that she has done also, she has also told the judiciary that within 3 months they must come back to her.
I was going to ask you that, whether or not her office would be following up on her recommendations that she has made.
Yeah, you are the old civil servant. You know what follow-up is. Yes, she has said that within 3 months they must get back to her, and during that time they must consult with National Archives, so that she has put together a set of orders which will ensure that at some point she will have to say, yes, I'm satisfied with what you have done. So that's a very, very significant thing, and I just thought I should share that with you. A lot of people, by the way, might not know that actually that decision came from an application I made, so I just thought I should put that out as well. So. Okay. Okay, well, thanks very much. Otherwise,
thank you, Billy.
Good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Paul, let's take the commercial break, and then we can take the other caller afterwards. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
From boat days to beach gatherings, Leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from July 9th through 15th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkiman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're on the last leg of the show this afternoon. I'm Orett Connor filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, one caller and whole caller. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. O.C.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
This is Tommy Borden. I guess most people might recognize my voice, but I have nothing to hide. I can't but help call about what I saw took place on the church property on Saturday afternoon. I happened to go by the church, and when I went there, I couldn't believe my eyes, much less anything else. It must have been hundreds of people there. I would say 3/4 naked on the church property, on the seaside, in front of the church, and on the church side as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just as happy and content as they could be to display their bodies walking around there. And I understand something like 500 people came in as visitors for this affair. But when I went in there, I ran them off of that property like I was running animals off of it. I'm not joking about that. My wife even helped me. She got hoarse talking, hollering at them.
Wow.
It was a disgrace. It was a disgrace. No one said a word to the church about wanting to even use the property or what would happen there. I call it K-Mess, not K-Mark. That was what it was celebrating. And it's a disgrace. That is not our culture or heritage to be proud of. That is an imported culture from everywhere you can think about other than Cayman. I don't care who says otherwise. I've been here long enough to know. So I don't think we are going in the right direction. We look like we're getting ready to get the Lord to destroy us as quick as possible because of how people are behaving these days. In every respect, they're neglecting or turning against God in every way. When we're supposed to be a Christian nation, I'm not saying that everybody is a Christian or was a Christian, but the majority of people at least believed in God and lived a normal, decent life, not the way that people are now exposing themselves, calling it fun or mess or whatever they call it, barmanu, whatever. It's a disgrace what's happening. And like I say, I couldn't even stop them from coming. Some more kept coming after we got the rest of them. I think they went over on the where the old market, Craft Market was after that.
Mm-hmm. And no one actually. Sorry.
I tried to get the police. There were several police there to move on. They wouldn't say a word to him. I had to go and do it myself.
Wow. And no one asked permission of you.
And I was thinking there Sunday. Suppose this had been Sunday afternoon. They chose to do this. What a disgrace! A 1,000% disgrace, bigger disgrace for people to be in church for something like that to be happening. Mm-hmm. And the reason that property is closed off is because of the abuse that people have made on that property. I wouldn't like to tell you some of what I've seen or others have seen has happened on that property. More than one time, we had two parties going on while church was going on. I had to go outside and try to stop them, call the police or whatever. One foreigner said, the police can't run him. I said, well, no, you'll see. But they did turn down the music. Two different sets of music going on that was disturbing the church inside. That's why that has been abused so much. We locked it off. And I'm sorry for people that enjoyed it. We did too. But I'm not going to let people ruin the church properties just because they have two legs or a mouth, whatever. But anyway, I'm sorry to how to end your term.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
It's a negative note, but I will stand up as long as I got breath in my body against that kind of wrong on behalf of the church. Sorry if someone don't like me for it, but that doesn't matter. I'm standing up for the Lord.
No,
Nobody will stop me from doing it.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Tommy. And, I asked you whether or not they had permission. Now, whether or not you would have given them permission had they asked for it based on it. But
they wouldn't have got it.
Right.
We turned down many different groups that wanted to have, even the Miss Cayman contest wanted to use that for taking pictures or something as a backdrop. And I never did agree for no one to do it. We want to give anybody, any commercial entity, the right to use it. We've had hundreds of applications that people wanted to use. I've offered to pay for it. Just that and other. We said no. We said no to everybody. So no one gets any permission to do anything on that property unless it's just people standing up or going there. And then again, I got some signs to go up someone which will show them that it's private property. We had one on it before in the Northwester when the storm knocked it down. Never did put it back, but I'm going to put one on each end of it. They'll soon be able to see them. And if they can't abide by what they say, they're free to leave.
Well, we hope that the organizers of these events, that they are listening because, they have to respect people's wishes. They have to respect private property as well. And they have to, if you're going to be putting on these events, you can't then put them on and say, oh, well, we left the persons who are in charge of the bands or whatever. They were supposed to police this or they were supposed to police that. The organizers are the ones who have to take full responsibility for whatever has happened. And, I'm really, really sorry that you had to witness such a thing, not only on that side, the seaside of the property, but on the land side as well. I mean, how sacrilegious are we getting?
That's a good question. We've been tolerating all sorts of things there to try to avoid having to block off the entrance for people to go back there and park behind the church and so on. And it's getting to be out of hand so much. I'm assuming put a chain across the whole thing in the front if they don't do a little better behavior and so on. We're also tolerating cigar smoke coming from the building next door that goes straight into the church. And I've tried over and over to liquor license board, planning board. Nobody seems to do anything about it. One of these days I'll probably get a piece of plywood and nail over the two of them. It's only 6 feet away from the church property.
And just for the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, Mr. Tommy, how long has your church been there? How many years now?
The church has been established from 1905.
And the building was built?
That building wasn't there that long, but we had an old wooden building that was moved by my uncles from the location close to where across from Dr. Roy's house, but it was old Shark House or something there.
Okay,
That was Marion's was a little further. This building was, I don't remember, it was before my time.
Yeah.
But that was an old wooden building that my uncles took down in sections and brought and put on the property, which was behind this one. And when they went to build this one, they left the other one there and built this in front of it, which is unfortunate. Maybe it would have been better if they built it further back, not in front of it. But that's how come that ended up being so close there on that side of the road.
Yeah, the point that I was trying to make with that is that anything, all of these entities, they all came after that church was established there. So it wasn't a situation where you were putting a church, placing a church by, a cigar smoking place or a cigar factory or whatever it is. They came and they found you there. And we continue to see these challenges where even in residential areas where, businesses and people are encroaching on people's private lives and their, private, like a church or private homes, and are demanding to have as much right to be there as you, who have been there for, decades.
For sure. I believe that building, that was finished while I was a boy, when I was a boy. It had the walls up and the floor was filled in. Some years before they put the roof and completed the building. But I would imagine that would be at least 70 years ago at least. That was started there at least. But behind there, like I said, the wooden building was there probably from 1905, around 1905. Anyway.
Well, sorry, Mr. Thomas, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we hope that, some of those persons who were involved in this event are listening as well, because there will certainly be more events that will be, taking place throughout the year and at the end of the year as well. And they need to understand that they have to respect people's private property and, in particular, church property.
Yes, true. In fact, we don't even get a respect to even be told that our address was changing from 63 South Church Street to 6 Seafarers Way. I had a question about that, and where the sign has Seafarers Way on cross from Boiler Road, it doesn't even show that South Church Street is from that point going south, and that's how it's supposed to be. And I brought it to someone's attention before a couple of times. Nothing has been done about it. Anyway. The other thing, I know you were talking about seafarers. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing, but I heard something about that. I am one of the Caymanians that stayed here and killed mosquitoes and built the houses, built jobs, not only houses, all types of construction. I was a contractor from 1966. I know a little bit about what went on in this country. My first job was in Bordentown, Peace Bay, when there wasn't even electricity. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. And I thought many people that can brag about that, if you want to call it bragging. So I think I've done my share. I don't get one penny from government for nothing. I don't want anything. Never ask for anything. So I've been no obligation, what should I say? I've been no spreen on government. Put it that way. I've paid licenses, all sorts of licenses I paid. And even when I got to where I deserved discount for certain licenses, I never even remembered to ask for it. So, but I hate to see this country going the way it's going. If I can understand why some people, when they get educated, don't feel like coming back, because their future is probably pretty dim. And on top of it, well, I have no desire to leave. I don't have no intention to leave. I have too much at stake here, and I'm going to stand up for it as long as I've got breath in my body. So tough luck if some people don't like how I treat them and disrespect. I am respectful, but again, we got no respect from the church standpoint.
Respect begets respect.
The other thing I mentioned was these marathons. Every time they have one of them, they block off the roads on a Sunday morning when we can hardly get to the church. Or people turn back because they can't get cross blockades and stuff. That should stop. I've been, I don't know how many times at the police and different ones. The only one really from the police that helped me was Courtney. Mr. Courtney, Officer Courtney.
Miles,
He
Courtney
did
Miles.
try.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we still have the same problem every time they have a marathon. Why they got to block the whole road off, I don't understand. When it's only one person for one line, one file, when the police or whoever's accompanying them can keep them over on one side or the other instead of blocking the roads. It's a nuisance to the people on Sundays when they do it. I know on the United Church, the last time that I know of, when the pastor came, they wouldn't even let him in to go to the church. One of the police that knew him had to intervene in order for him to get across to get into the church.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I've given you an earful now, so.
No, it's good, that you get the opportunity to, to voice your opinion and so that people can understand what is happening, out there as well, because we are losing so much of our traditions here in the Cayman Islands. And while we recognize that generations change and things change, those that are still in place, we still have to respect and honor them as well.
I bet you because Nana Borden was still in the government here, a lot of the things that happened wouldn't happen.
Yep, that's so true, so true.
Anyway, I guess I've given you an earful now, some of the food for thought. So I would appreciate a little bit of respect on behalf of the church. Anything like this is happening.
Certainly.
Thank you very much, Mr. O.C.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tommy, as well. Thank you. And folks, you heard it out there. We have, our religious institutions, and we need to give them the respect that they deserve. A lot of you don't know the history of these institutions as well, but the respect for private property in itself. You cannot just go and occupy someone's space. If you see a space out there and you are not the registered owner of it, then it belongs to someone else. And even if it belongs to the government of the Cayman Islands, you have to get permission to use it as well. So you can never make assumptions because it is vacant. It is there for you to use it as well. And I am sure that there are other countries, those that you come from, and we're not labeling this on just foreigners alone, but you wouldn't be able to do it elsewhere. And those of you who are Caymanians, you should know better. And if you don't know better, then someone needs to teach you better as well. Folks, I will end talk today with those remarks. I welcome you to join me tomorrow morning on For the Record as well. We will have the members of the Electoral Boundaries Commission on from about 7:30 until about 8:15, 8:30. Then we will have the members of the official opposition. I was going to share with you the press release that was issued by the leader of the opposition calling on the government to increase the $950 ex gratia stipend to $1,500 a month, but and that was press release was issued on the 26th of June. They will be here in the studio, God's willing, tomorrow, and they can talk more about that as well. So I welcome you to join me. Meanwhile, enjoy the rest of your day. Please stay safe. If you are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, if you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's